Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is Kara the Motivator. I'm back with another video, and today's video is more of informative and educative because I want us to be a bit spiritual. I want us to dig to our Bibles and just get some concepts that are going to make our life worth living and even a little bit easier because life is hard already as it is. So you don't necessarily have to have a Bibles, but I want you to have that mentality that this is going to be more spiritual than informing you about life and talking about life skills in general and all that life pertains. So yeah, so before we dive into the video, today's content, make sure you guys have subscribed to this channel, share it to your friends, and enemies and whoever until this word has reached the audience that we really need to get to. So today, as I said, it's about spiritual, and also as you're subscribing, you can feel free to leave your comments. Yes, so I've been thinking about this story about the Israelites, about Moses and Joshua. Those are the two main characters I want us to reflect on today, see how they lived their lives and what made them not to get to the promised land, or what made them get to the promised land, because there are those who went and there are those who only saw but never went there, but they had been promised. So we start this at the word promise. There are some key points that we are going to note down as we flow with the storyline of how it goes in the Bible. Yes, so make sure you're following. We start with the promise. So these people were in captivity, and then God comes and gives them a word that there is a promised land that flows with milk and honey, and God is going to deliver them from Egypt to take them to Canaan. These people believed in the word at first, and they were so excited that finally we are coming out of bondage, we are coming out of captivity, and we are going to a land that flows with milk and honey. You can sense the excitement that these people had when they first heard those news. And in their mind, they started playing it out and visualizing how good it will be. And then they are remembering how they have been living in hardship at Egypt, and they have been told that they're going to a land flowing with milk and honey. And these people's hopes were so high. Moses comes and there are the 10 plagues and all that. Skip to the most important part where I want to put my message. So these people live and they are on the journey and they are going to the promised land. They get to the wilderness. And but before they get there, there is this Red Sea crossing, and they are thinking that God promised us a land flowing with milk and honey. And then obstacle number one comes their way. No sooner had they left Egypt than the Egyptians took the horses and chariots and came after them. But then God was with them. Okay? We all know what happened. They drowned in the sea after the Israelites had crossed. The sea opened up and it swallowed them, right? So God was still showing his powerful hand that he was with them. I have promised you, I will take you there, and no matter what comes your way, no matter what obstacle comes your way, I am your deliverer. I am the one who is leading you and going with you. And we know that after that there was this pillar of cloud, there was this, God was showing his presence with them. He was walking and he was journeying with them through it all. So these people are in the wilderness, and then now drama starts. This is where challenges kick in. I've rushed that part because that is not majorly what I want to put across. I want to show you the first step was the promise. These people have been given a promise, okay? You have been in misery, you have been in hardship, you as a Christian, and you have been in situations where you feel like, manze, God forgot all about me. And I've been in this season for so long, this season of no breakthrough, no progress, I'm just stagnating. And then God comes and gives you a word and tells you, hey you, I have Jeremiah In Jeremiah, he tells you that I have great plans for you. I have plans to prosper you, plans to give you a hope, plans to give you a future. And you're so excited. You're like, oh God, I knew it. I knew it. Yes, I am royalty. You know the way you start declaring the goodness of the Lord when you have seen that vision. And then with time, there is something called the journey. And a lot happens in this journey. So let me yes, as we are going to we're journeying with our normal lives as Christians, and we are also reflecting on how it compares with that life of those Israelites when they were journeying from Egypt to Canaan. Okay, so these people, when they're in the wilderness, now challenges start kicking in. There is no food, there is this, there is that. They are complaining, the Israelites are complaining to Moses, oh, this is happening. Actually, we are even having more hardships here than we had in Egypt. It is better if we had stayed in Egypt and become slaves and became slaves there instead of coming here to die in the wilderness. So these people start complaining. Okay? And they forget that where they are at, even if there are difficulties, they have God with them. God is present with them. But then they're even comparing their stay at Egypt. They even saying that it was much better while they were there instead of now that they're in the wilderness and they are lacking so many things, yet God is with them. Are you getting that concept? Same case to our daily lives. God gives you a vision, okay, or rather you ask something in faith to God, that is prayer, and then God shows you that I'm going to do this for you, my child. All right, and then with time you're journeying, life is moving, and then you realize this journey is taking too long. God promised me this and that. Why is it not manifesting? Okay, and you start seeing challenges because a new blessing comes with its new problems. Okay, the problems that you're experiencing previously before the vision are not the same problems you're going to experience now that you have this vision. You're going to experience something that either is in line with what God is about to bring you, or something that is totally different from what you saw in your vision. Okay, and now at this point, as a human being, you're going to be doubtful. You're going to start questioning, did I really get this from God? But then have you ever been in a situation whereby you asked God, I really need you to fulfill this for me, I need you to do this for me, and then you have faith. After you've woken up from there and you're journeying on with your life, you're like, wait a minute, did this really come from God, or did I raise my expectations too high and I overthought, actually. I over-visualized, I over-expected, and then say that it is God who told me. But don't forget that when you were deep in prayer, that was God's answer to you. So these people are complaining to Moses, saying that it was better if they stayed at Egypt. So what does Moses do? He feels rage within him. And Moses was a short-tempered guy. Okay, he had faith in God. Look at Moses. Moses is a big man. This man has been chosen by God. He has been through this, but still he has overcome because God's grace is upon this man. But there is something very little, something that didn't come from external, that made Moses not to see the promised land. Okay, it was something that came inside him. So when these people are crying or complaining to Moses, who does Moses complain to? He rushes to God and tells him, these people, Moses is trying to, Moses has this burden of which we understand. Moses is carrying the burden of this great multitude, and he is one. Okay, but God is still strengthening him and showing him and making miracles and all that, and providing for the Israelites when they're in this wilderness. So we jump again to I want to get to the main point of my story. So we jump again to a time where Moses is sending 12 spies to go and spy this land called Canaan. Okay, you see, they have been lamenting when they were in the wilderness, but God did not cancel or tell them, you guys, you know what, I gave you this promise. Instead of you having faith in me, Canaan is no more. Okay, he didn't tell them directly at that point, but then they become to a point where they have been told to go to Moses has sent 12 spies to go to Canaan, and see what the land looks like. And what report do the 12 spies come with? 10 of them are negative, 2 of them are positive, right? And by the way, let me give a disclaimer. I'm not a Bible scholar, I'm not a theologian, I'm not something. I'm just a Christian trying to get daily life concepts and drawing inspiration from these people, just as a simple Christian, drawing inspiration from those people who were ahead of us. And we think that these people are more advantaged because they were with Moses, because they had direct communication with God and all that, and just relating it to this life that we're living in today, and showing you that the problems that were there, the complaining, the everything, God's promises, God's presence, it is still at work even to date. Okay, yes. So if you're following keenly with your Bible, my friend, this is not a theology class, Yes, but that's on a light note. So Moses has sent spies, and they have gone to survey the land. 10 of them come with a negative report, and 2 of them, who are Joshua and Caleb, come with a positive report. Now this is where I bring in Joshua. I say that Moses and Joshua are going to be my 2 main characters. So these 10 come and say that when they went to Canaan, they were looking like grasshoppers in front of those giants that live in Canaan. And there is no way how they are going to overcome or overtake those people in their own land. And you see, this is the land that God promised. That we are certain. This is the promised land. And we are sure that God gave this land to us. But then, before we take over this land, there are people who are already living there. Can you see how this blessing is coming? It is funny because God has given you a blessing, okay? God has given you this vision. But then, when you're going to get whatever you believe is yours, there is someone in possession of it at that time. It is not free waiting for you. No, there's a challenge, or there's an obstacle that is surrounding your blessing. But the blessing inside, can you look at it this way? I don't know let me use this flask. You see, there's this coating and protection and decoration that is on this flask, okay? But right inside it, inside here is where we get the content that you're after. Whether you want tea, whether you want water, whatever you want is inside here, and it is yours, okay? But now whatever is surrounding here acts as an obstacle for you. I hope you're getting it. Yes, whatever is inside is yours, and you're the one who's supposed to take it, right? And the problem is that you cannot so easily get to the inside before touching or encountering whatever is outside it. You're getting what I'm saying? Yes. So they have come with a negative report. They've seen themselves as grasshoppers, and there is no way in their minds they are seeing themselves overtaking these people in their own land, which in their own land, you see, the real owners of this land are the Israelites. But being human, they are seeing themselves limited to the opportunity of taking over. So there's Joshua and Caleb who come and say, you know what? Yes, those people are big. That is for a fact. They're giants. But Joshua and Caleb know who their God is. They know who sent them. They know who is in their... They know there is God. Like God said it. Okay? And if God said it, let me tell you something about the promise. You see, remember the first thing I said was the promise. Okay? And in the journey, there was faith, and there was doubt, and there was belief, and there was what? You see, things that are coming from inside. All right? So there is a promise, there is a journey which involves your emotions and feelings, and then there is the fulfillment of the manifestation. So after this report, most people were like the 10 spies. They gave up. They were like, hey, if we look like grasshoppers, then this is an end. This is a dead end for us. But there are few people like Joshua who are strong in their faith, believing that if God gave me this as my promise, if God said this is what I'm going to do, this is where I'm going to live, this is where I'll, if God said it, then it is going to be. And I believe that God is going to fulfill it. It doesn't matter who is there already. It doesn't matter the circumstance or the situation that is there at this time. But what I know is that God promised that this was mine, that He was giving me this, you know. So, there's a promise. Let me confirm something here real quick. Yes, there's the promise, and then your emotions, that is your faith, that is your belief, and then there's what we call doubt versus fear. Definitely, as a human being, Joshua and Caleb, maybe they felt some pain, some fear inside them. They were like, wait, you know, those people are really big. How are we going to go about this? That was fear, you know. But get the difference. There's a time when God comes and tells them, He actually told Moses that you're going to see the promised land, but you will not live in it. Okay, Moses only saw from a high point. He saw that this is the promised land. He saw it, but Moses never set his foot there to live in Canaan. And yet, he's the person God gave this promise to go and take to the Egyptians to the Israelites in Egypt and tell them that the deliverance of the Lord is here and He's taking you to a promised land called Canaan. And yet, can you imagine that a lot can happen in the journey between God taking you from where you are at to where He wants you to be? Along the way, you can fail to receive your blessing or to live your blessing just because of something called doubt. It is more of doubt being a hindrance than fear, actually. You know why? Let me just take you a bit further, okay? Let us leap to the front, whereby we see Joshua coming to take over, and he's so afraid. He's feeling some fear inside of him. And then Joshua 1:9 says, that is a powerful verse that I really love, and it is really encouraging. When God tells Joshua, have I not commanded you? It's a command. Only be strong and courageous. Be strong and courageous, for I have promised to be with you wherever you go. Can you tell a person who is strong to be strong? Of course not. They are already strong. But there's someone who has fear, and the task ahead of them, you believe that they are equally able, they are up to the task. But inside them, they can't see it. Or if they can see it, they can't feel it. You know, there's just that small obstacle called fear that is standing in the way, just because you're wondering how, asking yourself how will I get there? How will I do this? How will it be? What if, you know? Now, what if is what brings a difference and brings a problem, actually. It's a problem because, can you imagine that because of doubts, these people who have been taken from Egypt, they failed to leave the promise in Canaan just because of doubts. Doubts. Okay? And I've said there's a difference between fear and doubts. I don't want to say that it's okay to fear, but I want to say it is normal to feel fear. You know, it is a natural instinct where you just feel afraid and all that. But doubt is more of a conditioning of the mind. You know, because I feel like doubt, you sit yourself down the way I'm seated right here, and then you're trying to convince yourself, hey, yes, I know that God, it is like you yourself trying to talk yourself out of a situation that you put yourself in or that somebody put you in. You're feeling me, right? So God has told you, I'm going to put you into this place. And then here you are, you're like, hey, yes, I know God said this, but at the same time, surely, can you look at this situation? Can you see this and this? The way things are happening, the way I've been trying and quitting. Yani, you're analyzing each and every detail of your past, actually, of your past and your present, and the fact that you fail to relate it to the bright future that you have been promised. You want to, actually you don't want to, but what you're actually doing is terminating your blessing and cutting yourself from what God promised. You're a qualified candidate for God's blessing, but you're talking yourself out of it. And you know what happens? The thoughts that you constantly speak to yourself are what gets manifested in your life. You see, because if Joshua and Caleb didn't come with this positive report, I'm pretty sure the fact that God had promised that he's going to take these people from captivity to Canaan, God was still going to fulfill his word through those who believed him. Even if it was not Joshua or Caleb or whoever, God would still have fulfilled his promise because he is a promise keeper. You know, he never gives you a word. He actually says that his word never returns to him empty. It has to fulfill that for which it was sent. Right? So, as I narrow down, I was just using their illustration to show you how this situation happens in our lives. So back to you, who's watching, who's listening. What is this thing that God has promised you? What is this thing that you have been trusting the Lord for the longest time? And then God gave it to you as a vision, or you asked of him in prayer. I've seen people, and I really love this, when people live their normal lives to go to the mountain and seek God. Whether it is the mountain, or however you seek God. You know, there are people who do the war room. You know, you lock yourself up, you pray, you seek God, you ask God about this, and then God tells you, you know what, darling, I'ma do this for you. But then you, being human, you're here doubting. You're like, where? You know, the way this has been, you know, the way life has been, you know. So my concept, or rather what I wanted to take out of this whole video is, number one, God gave you that promise, okay? And he did not give it to you just to light up your spirit because you are down at that moment. No. God knows where you're coming from, God knows where you're at, and God knows where you're headed. Okay? He said that in Jeremiah, before I formed you, he was telling Jeremiah that before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you. You know, God knew you before even you came to existence. So why would you grow, you become this big and come this far, only to doubt the power of God that is at work within you? Okay, so guys, I need you to replace your fear with faith, and I need you to stop speaking things that are going to bring doubt into your life, and replace them with affirmation, with God's promises. Can you go back whenever you feel like you're going to talk yourself into doubting the promise that God has put before you? Can you take that word and remind God, God, by the way you said, you promised, and you're Jireh, you're going to provide everything. In fact, I don't know how I'm going to get there, but God, you showed me that I will get there someday. I don't know when. I love this concept of this journey that was to take place between from Egypt to Canaan. It was supposed to take a very few days, but these people spent 40 years in the wilderness and never went to the promised land. And actually, they died in the wilderness because of doubt. Okay, the promised land never went anywhere. It was still there in waiting. But God said, because you have doubted, you guys, you're not even going to live in this land. After all, you don't even believe I can do it. So even if I do it, can you imagine when you're a perpetual complainer? God takes you from this situation, takes you here, you complain, he takes you here. You're not even taking account that God has been faithful all this time. You see, you're not thinking that God has taken me from this situation that was worse than the present, and even if I'm in tribulation and trials right now, I know that I will come out of this with jubilation. Whatever you're seeing ahead of you is obstacles that you've put for yourself. My friend, you will not see Canaan. You will die, and when I say die, you'll die here. You know, there are people who are dead. Like, you stopped visualizing, you stopped expecting. Okay, there's a difference between expecting and visualizing. You stopped seeing yourself there where you always wanted to be. Okay, just because you talked yourself out of it and you told yourself, you know what, it was too unrealistic, there's no way I'm going to live that dream. After all, I'm not qualified. But you know what, when God has qualified you, it is not because of you, of who you are as a person. You know, it is because of how faithful and how merciful God is. Sawa sawa. God amekupea blessing, trust in him. He's going to journey with you. Tell him, God, I know I'm in a very desperate situation right now, a situation that does not even reflect the blessing that you promised me, that bright future, that land that flows with milk and honey. But I know, God, that in the fulfillment of time, you're going to make everything beautiful. And my timing is not your timing, God. So I'm entrusting this to you. I don't know how, but I have faith that you will do it. Even when you're out of, but even, you know, funny enough, you come from claiming and proclaiming that God will do it. You know, you've just been, God, I believe I have. You know, you're from that moment, and then right after that, do you know where you land? You land in trial. You're landing yourself in trouble. You're landing yourself in a situation that makes you question your faith. You're like, really? I knew I wouldn't make it. But God is calling you to still have faith in Him, because he is a promise keeper. You know this song that goes by Maverick City, Promises. I love that song. Every time I feel like God promised me this dream, but I feel so far, I can't even see it anymore. I'm like, God of Abraham, you're the God of covenants and of faithful promises. What is the next part? Time and time again, you have proven you'll do just what you say. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak a word, it will come to pass. For great is your faithfulness to me. Great is your faithfulness to me. From the rising sun to the setting same, I'll remain steadfast. I know I'm mixing words, by the way, but sikumbuki the song, sikumbuki the flow. Maverick City, forgive me, guys. Please pardon me. But in other words, I'll remain steadfast, okay? Because He's a God of faithful promises. And time and time again, you have proven you'll do just what you say. Though the storms may pass and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast. Do you know what that means? That the storms will blow. Trouble will come to locate you. It will come looking for you, but you are to remain steadfast to His promises. So go listen to that song, by the way, and get the powerful message in it. So guys, I hope you have learned that there's a promise that God has given you, and God is faithful to His promise. So how about you? Are you going to have faith that God is going to fulfill whatever He's promised to you? Okay, journey with faith. Take away doubt out of your life. Manze, you don't want to lose out of your blessing because of you being your own limitation. And I'm sure you don't want to do that. So have faith in this God. Do not doubt. Even when you fall, a righteous man falls and rises up again. Okay? Doesn't matter how many times you're going to fall, but you're going to keep winning. You're going to keep standing, and you're going to keep believing. Okay? So guys, I hope you have learned, and dig deep in the word, as I also am digging deep in the word. We are looking for strength in His word, because He said that this word will never go back to Him empty. It has to fulfill whatever He sent it to fulfill. So it's up to you to believe in God and His faithful promises. And see you in the next video, guys. Like, subscribe, share, comment. I love you guys. See you in the next video. Peace out.